नमस्कार एंड वेलकम टू द माइंडफुल लाइफ। दोस्तों, अक्सर मेरे मन में एक सवाल उठता है कि हम सभी जो जीवन जी रहे हैं, क्या हम जीवन के सही मायने को समझ भी पाए हैं? कभी अचानक हमारे जीवन में बहुत कुछ अच्छा घटता है, कभी अचानक बहुत दुख आ जाता है। इसके पीछे की सच्चाई क्या है? आई थिंक ये हम सभी का सवाल है। हम इस जीवन को समझना चाहते हैं और अगर हम समझ जाएँगे तो शायद जीवन जीने में बहुत आसानी होगी। आज इसी रहस्य को समझने के लिए मैंने अपने शो में इनवाइट किया है एक जानी-मानी वेलनेस एक्सपर्ट एमिली मैकबर्नी को। इनके बारे में मैं आपको और ज़्यादा बताऊँ, इससे पहले आइए उनका स्वागत करते हैं। एमिली, अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू द माइंडफुल लाइफ।
Hi, thank you. Namaste.
नमस्ते, कैसी हैं आप? हाउ आर यू?
I'm very well, thank you.
So I'm so glad to have you on the show. And before we start our discussion, let me, introduce you to my viewers. मैं उनको आप सबको बताना चाहती हूँ कि एमिली जो है वो एक लग्जरी वेलनेस डायरेक्टर है। वो एक जानी मानी वेलनेस ई कॉमर्स एंड लग्जरी वेलनेस ब्रांड एडवाइजर है। ये ऑस्ट्रेलिया से आती है और ये अक्सर कनाडा, बाली और इंडिया में बहुत सी योग, वेलनेस और मेडिटेशन की अब तक वर्कशॉप्स कर चुकी है। इन्हें पास्ट लाइफ रिग्रेशन का भी काफी एक्सपीरियंस है और आज मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि वो हमारे साथ इस शो में मौजूद है। सो एमिली, again a very warm welcome to you. First of all, my first question to you would be, how did you get into wellness?
Well, actually, I died when I was 3 and crossed to the other side and came back with some pretty interesting talents. And eventually, they just came to fruition. I followed a path as a newsreader and journalist in Australia. And I would read tarot and tell people's fortunes and have these random thoughts that would come into my head during meditation. I was always heavily into yoga and the practice of yoga. And it just went from there. Nobody was surprised that I transitioned into that spectrum and that field. And I was always really passionate about wellness. I was vegetarian from a very young age and having green juices and smoothies when I was 10, doing yoga for a long time, and generally could see that there was something different to the way we ate and the way we lived our lives and the way we practiced our lives.
So that means what I can understand that it started from at a very young age, you know. So
Very young.
you just mentioned that you died and you were reborn. So can you share that near-death experience of yours? How was it, and what did you see on the other side?
Yeah, well, I remember drowning in a swimming pool. I remember falling into a very cold swimming pool in a Melbourne winter. It was about 0 degrees, and I got trapped underneath a cover that they used to cover the swimming pools with so the leaves didn't fall in the winter. And I was trapped under there. I was dead for 11 minutes, they estimate. And I had a very powerful experience where I saw a very bright light. Obviously, I was cold at one point, but then I saw a bright light. I was very warm, and I got transported to somewhere that I felt was above me, that was very bright and white. And there was, I felt it was a male energy there, and I came to some kind of gateway, and there seemed to be other bodies there, but not in a form, like a human form. And for some reason, I was rejected from this doorway and sent back, and I came back and I was flying, and I could see where people were reviving me and where my sister and my brother and my cousins were, where my mother was at the front of the house. She hadn't even known that I'd drowned. I'd fallen in the swimming pool. She was still talking to my aunt. I could tell you where she was positioned with her arm on the car, everything. And I was hovering, and then I came back into my body. And after that, I had some interesting experiences that I could see things that other people couldn't see. Like I could see ghosts, I could see people's dead relatives, I could say, they're talking to you right now and they want to say this. And I knew things about people that no one else could know.
Oh, I see. That's really very interesting. I would like to know many more experiences like that. But today, let's talk about the karmic theory, because
Yes.
I'm sure, that's very much related and connected. So, Emily, in India, there is an idiom in Hindi where we say, "Eat ka jawab patthar se."
Yes.
So what does that mean? That if somebody is throwing a brick at you, you must respond with a stone, you
Yes.
know. Now, if we believe the current theory, which I'm sure you do, uh,
Yes.
it means that someday I must have thrown a brick at someone. That's why he's hitting me with a stone or with a brick. Now, what
Correct.
I really want to ask you as an expert is that if everything is predestined, everything is written, then it is predestined by whom? I mean, how do we believe it? How do we believe that current theory exists? And what is this current theory?
Well, the theory of karma is actually a scientific theory. If you know about Newton's law, which is action, every action has a reaction. So if you throw the stone, it will hit the glass or it will hit the ground. There's a reaction to your action. And the same applies to karma. And, one thing that people don't realize is that your thoughts can also create karma. When you're thinking, you're manifesting. So if you keep thinking, oh, I'm horrible looking, I'm a horrible person, or thinking negative thoughts, that will actually happen. So I believe that our karma is destined. You know how you have the palm leaf readers and there's 3 different paths you can go in your life, 3 different doors. I believe that karma is destined, but I do believe that you do have the ability to change that path. Because at the end of the day, we can all make decisions, and it's just a matter of tuning into those decisions before there is the reaction that can have the powerful, powerful change. For example, when people have accidents, there is a theory that there were 3 steps before that accident that led you to that accident. Perhaps you were trying to get out of your house and your door wouldn't open, but you persisted. That could have been the first universal action of maybe you shouldn't leave the house right now. And you hear these incredible stories, like, for example, there was a model who missed the 9/11 flight from Boston to New York. She was meant to be on that plane that went down. A week and a half later, she was stabbed in an alley in New York City. So her destiny was that she was to die at that age, and there was nothing she could do to change that. But I do certainly believe that we do have the power to use our thoughts for our benefit. And even though you go and have a reading and you have an astrological reading or someone may read your future, that doesn't necessarily mean that that will be set in stone. You do have this incredible power of your mind, using your mind and the universal law of karma to change things. You can change things very quickly.
Right. So if our soul is on a journey, then we often say, that we all come empty-handed, we will go empty-handed. But in that case, I think that's not true. We all come with an account and we go with an account, isn't it?
I think we come with an imprint of past lives. You know how you see these situations where you have a small child and you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, and they have these fascinations with architecture or archaeology. They love the pyramids. They have these little things that they love. I remember I have children, and I remember this boy in my daughter's class dressed like he was from the 1950s. With the rolled up sleeves and the Elvis look, and he just loved that era. And of course, that was his past life. It's very obvious when there's a past life. And when you get into past life regression, you start to see how obvious it is. People were something in a past life and they bring those skills into their current life. I mean, there's no way a small child could get on a piano and start playing that way. They've learned it from a previous lifetime. Or when they come to a country, some people have an amazing experience. Other people don't have a great experience.
So,
Yes.
Emily, now that let's talk about that life which is between coming and going. You said we come with imprints, we go with imprints. Now, what about the life between coming and going? How it should be, and how should we lead that life?
Well, this is the most important thing. That life will predestine your next life.
Absolutely.
Everything we do in this lifetime will be rolled on to our next lifetime. So whatever you do in your daily life, I always say this to people, you give and you get back threefold. And it doesn't have to be monetary. It can be a smile. It can be spending time with someone. It can be talking to someone. It can be helping somebody with their groceries. It doesn't have to be a monetary, commercial, materialistic exchange. It can just be a random act of kindness. And it's so easy to do it in India. For example, we have a group of girls that we see each day. We walk in Lodi Gardens and we give them things that they need, because we know that often if you give them money, it's not going to them. So we say, what do you need? And now they'll say, can you get some face scrub or hair oil or sanitary items or talcum powder? These are very little things. And what I saw when I started doing this was the rest of the world joined in. So I started getting donations from all over the world, from people who would give me 1 or 2 lakh to take migrant workers home, or people that I came into interaction with on a daily basis. Can I help the girls? Can I send them some clothes? Can you give them some food or buy them some chocolate milkshakes? And so this is not necessarily my karma, because the people that are also giving to me are getting that karma as well.
Yes, absolutely. So you mean to say we should deliberately get into all this, because obviously this present life is going to affect my next life. And if we have,
Absolutely.
and so do you mean to say that whatever we have sown in the past, we have to face it in the present?
Absolutely. So this is another thing that happens. You'll start to see in your life a pattern will keep coming up. Whether you have a boss who's annoying you all the time, or whether you keep having unluck in your relationships, there'll be a certain pattern you'll start to see. The same thing keeps happening. And that's all your lesson. That's it. I mean, the karma will come very quickly once you start getting into the practice of working with karma and acknowledging that your thoughts do have an impact. And they're very powerful. And I always say everyone's spiritual. Everybody has these abilities. It's just a matter of using meditation to tap into them. Because when you meditate, you work on the frontal cortex of your brain. It's science. And it allows the thoughts that are negative to stop. And it also opens up the pathways for these positive thoughts to come in. Concepts, creativity, ideas will all come through then. And then you can live a more positive life, and you can be more grateful for your life. And I always say to people when they're stuck in their life, the first thing I say is go and give to someone else. Like, cook a meal and give it to someone else. That's the surefire, easy way to shift karma very quickly. And then I say, let's start to work on your patterns. So let's start to work on where you're getting stuck and why do you think that's happening?
Emily, sometimes you have some very close associations with people you just don't like, but you have to live with them. And,
Yes.
does that, how do we give ourselves those reminders every time we meet such people that maybe we are settling some karmic account with them?
Yeah, so this is our karma. We are inviting these people into our lives as our family. They are our karmic blessings, 100%. And so that's where the work begins. It begins from when we're with our family. And sometimes it doesn't always work out, and sometimes there's strained situations. But in general, the rules of living this life of feeling freedom and feeling karmically clear, sometimes we do have to disengage from people. So, for example, I don't have anyone in my life who slanders other people. Slander is very, very bad for your karma. People who get caught up in gossip and slander, and this person's doing this and that person's with that person. I don't have any of that room for that energy in my life, because I'm constantly in a state of manifesting joy and light. And I don't want the negativity. It's a little bit harder with your family because you're stuck with them. So there are ways of getting around that by maybe educating. When we have issues where people are perhaps a little bit ignorant about something, you have to educate them. But past life regressions are very powerful to track. Perhaps there was something in your life that you were always, for example, my past lives, I was always second best in my relationships. So I was always the afterthought, and I was always the second thought. There was always another female in my partner's life who was more important, which is valid because often there's a mother or a grandmother. But for me, it was just a pattern that kept coming up all the time.
So now that you're talking about past life regression, a lot of people do not know about this therapy. Can you explain what is past life regression? How effective is it? And when should people go in for it?
I find that people generally get drawn toward past life regressions when they've had an upheaval in their life. And as we're talking about patterns, it's the same pattern that keeps coming up. You know, why do I keep attracting these people that do this to me or break my heart? Or it's always the same pattern. So when that happens, I say to them, why don't you try a past life regression? You might get something from it. And so when you go in, it's generally facilitated by, I have found somebody who practices Kundalini Kriya. It's a type of yoga where they move energy through the body and the chakras. They generally have this ability to tap into the past life. So you go and you sit in a room and it's like talking to a friend. They're very regular people. And then they take you through a little meditation, which is almost a type of hypnosis. But then all of a sudden you find yourself in a place that you may not have recognized before or may have recognized. So they get you to close your eyes and then they'll say, what do you see on the ground? And all of a sudden you can see dirt or soil, or for me, once I saw stones in I thought was somewhere in Jaipur or Rajasthan. And then they start to ask you questions about what's around you and what are people wearing and what are they eating. And you start to get a feeling of where you are. And it could be from, for example, I had a past life from the 15th century in England, and I could see everyone in, you know, these dark rooms, and I could see a fireplace and it smelled damp and there was terrible bread on the table and yeah, I mean it's very powerful. That was my first past life regression.
As you said that when a particular pattern is repeating in a life, you must go in for a past life regression and find out why exactly is it happening, and it's a very beautiful journey. But what I really want to ask you is that how many sessions are required to see a past life, or usually the first session is successful for everyone?
I think it depends how open you are to it. If you go in very resistant, I know people who don't actually feel anything. But if you go in with a very open mind and open to change and open to your life changing, then I mean, I really enjoy it. As I said, to me, I don't read too much into it. I don't fixate too much on it. It's a bit like going to see a psychic or an astrologer. They tell you something, but you are still in control of the direction of your life. So I definitely recommend it to many people who are feeling stuck, or if they have an illness that perhaps conventional medicine cannot treat. Because what happens when you do the past life regression is the facilitator will help you heal that wound in the actual regression.
I would like to ask you about deja vu. I mean, we are all familiar with this term, deja vu. Suppose we are going in a car and we feel something will happen which hasn't happened as yet. So, does that also related to, has it got any relation with our past life memory?
Absolutely. So there are all places that we've been in before, and there's actually a lot of practices you can do to follow the path of the deja vu. It's actually a yogic practice that we do. When you get a deja vu, you should stop if you can, close your eyes, try and meditate, and then you start to trace it a bit like you're tracing a past life or a movie or watching a movie, and you can follow that thread, and it's interesting to see where it will take you. It will, in a sense, deja vu is your own past life regression.
Right. So, Emily, one more question. How do we get rid of that attachment factor, and just focus on clearing our karmas with the particular person, if you can tell us?
Yeah, this is really hard, and yogis spend a lot of their time in their lives trying to detach. It's one of the most difficult parts of Patanjali's sutras, which is the sutras we follow in the yogic path, is the path of non-attachment. Because we all like things and we all like to have comforts, and sometimes we get fixated on these things. But what I say to people is when you start to learn to let go, they'll always come back to you. I mean, you can take it so far where you're taking off your shawl and giving it to people in the street. That's fine. But in general, keeping a very simple life is very important. And I find that the people that I do spiritual advising for, some of them are, world leaders, like, I don't know, former US presidents. They have very simple lives. They have 5 items in their wardrobe. A lot of CEOs just have a very simple, compact wardrobe and just barely what they need. One watch, one vehicle if they need it. They live very, very simple lives. And I think there's
Simple
a lot to
life,
learn.
simple living, simple life, simple thoughts, and meditation. I think these are the tools.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Emily, also, how do we empower ourselves to face the difficult times? Because, when we face the challenges, that's the time we feel very drained out. So how do we empower ourselves? Because I'm sure after understanding about the karmic theory, escaping from it is no solution. So we have to face it. Now, how do we face it? How do we empower ourselves?
I think this is a really interesting question, because when we talk about mindfulness and we talk about wellness, I don't think people quite understand that it's actually really hard work. You have to really work at it every single day. You're working on yourself. You're working on changing your karma. It's a big job. So one of the tools that I love is journaling. And it works for everyone to journal 5 things that you appreciate as soon as you get up. And that will shift your entire day. And sometimes it's really hard to find things that you feel great about, especially in the current climate. But keep it simple. I'm grateful that I have, a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have a comfortable bed. I'm grateful that my family is well right now. And just very simple things. Keep your gratitude or keep your journaling very simple. A thought will come into your head. I meditate every morning for 20 minutes every day. And I have done that for many, many, many years. I find personally, it's almost like taking out the garbage in my mind, and it gives me a fresh slate. Also, not attaching to things that happen. We talk about material goods, but if you had a bad day yesterday, which I did, I had a terrible day yesterday. But today I got up and said, I'm not attaching to that. That was yesterday. It's done. It's gone to bed, literally. Today is a new day. It's a fresh slate. It's going to be a good day. I do cold shower, which is hydrotherapy. It's an ancient Ayurvedic technique, and they also do it in the north. It's called an Ishnan there. It's just taking a cold shower, which resets the central nervous system. So this is all science. Karma is science. It's the law of every action has a reaction. Every thought can turn into a thought becomes a word, becomes an action. If you wake up and you're having negative thoughts, you're going to send that out into the world, and you're going to then react with that. And then you're going to act and be perhaps unkind, and then that's going to cause a reaction, and then that person will have a bad day, and so on. So it's very important that we work on ourselves. And these are tools and tricks we can do. So meditation, journaling, very quick things, quick cold shower, and then you're ready to do your day. Social media and being online is actually not great for your health, and not great for manifesting, and not great for your karma, because it can send you into a negative spiral, and it also gives us false dopamine hits, which is we get these, this person likes me, but it's actually not real. So it's better you're better off limiting your time online, because it can really affect your karma. It can affect your actions and reactions. And it can affect your thoughts. It can affect your thoughts about yourself. You can start negative self-talk. And most of that, in all my clients, the first thing I say to them is, do not pick your phone up when you get up in the morning. Don't have it beside your bed. Unless you're a doctor on call, you don't need your phone beside your bed. And you also have 80% more productivity in your day if you don't start your day on your phone. So just for an hour, keep it away for an hour. Give yourself that time to have your own space. Because if you pick up your phone, you're living thousands of lives before you've even got out of bed. You know, you've basically taken in everything your friends have done and your family have done in the last 24 hours. And that's a lot for your system and for your thoughts as well.
Wow. Emily, I think you have, made us understand this whole concept of karmic theory beautifully. And I think we'll all keep these tips in mind. So journaling, meditation, a disciplined life, simple life, good thoughts. I think these are all the tools which we must use to have a beautiful life. And of course, since this life is going to impact the next life, so we have to really take care of our actions and our thoughts. Emily, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm very sure that viewers have benefited from whatever you have told us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So everything is predestined by our own karmas. जो कुछ भी हमें आज मिल रहा है वो हमने कल बोया था, जो हमें कल चाहिए वो हमें आज बोना होगा, और जो हम पाना चाहते हैं वही बोना होगा. तो यानी जो कर्म है, क्योंकि वो हमारे हमेशा सही नहीं थे, इसलिए आज फल भी बहुत अच्छे नहीं हैं. यही है कार्मिक थ्योरी. और जैसे कि एमिली ने आपको टिप्स दिए, इन सभी बातों को अगर हम ध्यान में रखते हैं तो हम कम से कम अपने प्रारब्ध को ठीक कर सकते हैं, ताकि हम आने वाले कल को बहुत सुंदर बना सके. आज के लिए बस इतना ही. मच लाफ्टर, लव एंड लाइट टू ऑल ऑफ यू. नमस्कार.